is Dennis Prager, who on his show discussing the question of whether or not biological men or women can actually become the other sex. Now, we're talking about gender here. He addresses that as well. But here's Prager.
It's a pretty fair question to ask on a male-female hour. Can you really become a male or a female if you're born the other? I don't believe you can. I believe you can look it and be called it, but I don't believe you can become it. We're too different psychologically as well as physiologically. And the psychological is much harder to change. You can't have a psychology surgery like you can have a mastectomy. It just doesn't happen.
I wish.
I have so many questions about this, but I'm going to stick to the ones that I have posed, which were initiated spontaneously last hour when I raised this question.
Dork.
Here's a simple little thing. Guys insult each other if they really like each other. Will a trans man begin to do that? Given that it is not female nature to do that? Do you abandon your nature when you abandon your genitalia?
Oh my God! I didn't know where he was going with that.
I don't know what Prager's experience is with having male friends, but my male friends aren't just like mean to me, and I'm like, I love you, man.
He's like earnestly saying, can trans men riff?
Yeah.
If not, they can't be trans men.
Can a trans man be a huge asshole?
Yeah, and it's also just like, dude, you're undercutting your point with saying that you can't change someone, you can't have a brain change and change people's nature. That's literally why trans people are trying to get you to recognize their existence. They're saying, I was born in the wrong body. That can change, but my mind, my heart is this gender. That's the point, bro.
Like all this stuff, like it's not a problem if you just accept like some people are going to be trans men and some people are going to be cis men, for instance.
Yeah.
Like all that confusion is gone.
But you know, first of all, I keep thinking about his example. Isn't it like the most cliche thing throughout, like starting in elementary school all the way to like college, where if like someone of the opposite gender or even the same gender is being but like technically, you know, if a girl is really constantly sort of like picking on a boy on the schoolyard, isn't the understanding now is that girl probably likes that guy? So even his own example is like
even his own example, like girls are catty. Girls are supposed to be catty, like both genders hate to break. I mean, he might not have I know he's been married a few times, but he doesn't seem to still have enough familiarity with women. Like, women, just like men, can be mean to each other. And I think that crosses gender binaries as well.
The male, female...
Not like Hey Arnold on the streets, but loved him behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right there, it shows that...
Helga. My best Halloween costume ever.
That's pretty cool. That's a cool Halloween costume.
I drew on the unibrow and everything.
Could Helga maintain her true nature if she lost her genitalia?
Something to ponder.
The male-female hour is... I mean, I guess I'm not as familiar with Dennis Prager's show, but does it really need an hour every day?
Well, I mean, with all those pauses...
Well, yeah. I mean, he can only get to like one or two questions when you pause that many times. But
with all those like that depressed pondering, maybe you need to make room for it.
It's just funny the kind of like immutable characteristics that people who have no familiarity with like biology or psychology assign to men and women that just like, basically just literally dissolve the moment you give it any thought or have any familiarity with what's going on in the world. I went through a phase where I was listening to a lot of incel stuff on YouTube because it was like kind of funny, if not a little dark. And half of what they complained about, like adult incel men, is like being like, having other guys joke with them, you know, about like things that they are sensitive about, that they don't feel like, you know, which is, I hate to say it, you're right, you can be sensitive about things, doesn't matter, you know, if you express it in people who don't like, who do not respect your boundaries, you can push them out of your life. But this idea that like guys just love when you're shitty to them and that's just the way they live their lives, it's like not even guys who would, you know, I would say incels are part of that far right, like very specific male female, rather they believe in a very specific male female dichotomy. They don't even believe that. It's just a thing that they say to make themselves seem stronger than women emotionally, and like a woman couldn't handle being a man.
Exactly, Brandon.
We're just constantly bullying each other. It's like half of what right wingers do is cry when you say anything mean to them. It's like you guys can't handle it either. So like,
and when they're bullying each other, like that's an old trope, because like that's how some boys or young men communicate when they are not that comfortable expressing their feelings. Like, so like the thing he's nostalgic for is actually just repression.
Yeah, I mean, he just wishes we were all forced to keep our emotions inside, like, you know, he does.
I mean, right. That's the world he's trying to construct.
Also, he goes through and says, like, you know, I believe that they can, you know, transgender people can look the gender they identify as and that they can be called that. But I don't believe they are. Well, you know what? After that, it doesn't matter for you. Like, just you're just saying you believe they can be called that. So you know what? Call them that, and they won't give a shit what your true feelings are, because no one cares about what your feelings are.
Their internal brain. Like, they have a sense of the arrogance of it is astounding to me. Trans people have a way better understanding of where their brain is at than you from the outside, Prager.
Right, but you know what, Dennis Prager, if you believe that transgender people can be called the gender they identify as, and in, you know, connected to that, the name they go by, and everything involved with that, then do that. You just said it yourself. You believe they can be called that. So just practice that. Have your own weird little thoughts about transgender people in your head, you know, but just do what you said is possible.